If you're a small business owner doing meta ads, you just got started doing them or you've been doing them for a while, you're probably wasting around 30% of your budget. I'm going to show you exactly why. Now, typically what I see when somebody starts doing meta ads that doesn't have experience before is they jump in and they'll start a campaign. Ignore my terrible handwriting. They do one ad set and they do one ad. And then they set a budget of $150 and call it a day. Then they come back 7 days later and they've only got 2 leads. Now, this might sound familiar to the results that you're getting. Maybe you're putting more budget in, or maybe you're not getting these results at all and you're getting way better results. And if that's the case, then you probably don't need to keep watching this video. But for those of you that are struggling to get the results that you want out of your ads, I'm going to show you a better way of understanding how to build your ads out so that you can go back, build out a strong ads engine so that you can actually get the results that you want. Now, the way I like to look at ads is I like to break it into 4 columns. Makes it easy for me to understand. And this is the exact framework that we use for any of the clients that come into our program or that we run ads for. Now, your first section is what I like to call the fuel, right? So I like to think of meta ads as the engine that's going to send out our advertising. But obviously an engine doesn't run unless it's got all the components and everything that it needs. So the first stage I like to call is fuel. The second stage is the spark, right? You need a spark for the engine to be able to work. Once again, terrible handwriting. The third thing is the engine needs a direction to go in. And the fourth thing is the engine is pretty much useless unless it can accelerate, right? So we've got fuel, we've got spark, we've got direction, and we've got acceleration. Now, what does all this actually mean, right? It's not just marketing jargon. It actually has something behind it. Well, your fuel is simply your budget. This is the amount that you actually decide to spend on the ads, whether it's every day or every month, right? Your spark, and this is where it's going to make a little bit more sense, is your creative. Or another way you could look at this is it's your copy, so what's actually written in the ad itself, or maybe it's the script in the video ad, and you've also got your offer. So your offer is what you're actually offering, right? Whether it's a product, whether it's a service, how strong is the offer? Is there money back guarantees? Those sorts of things. And the direction is your targeting. Now I'm hearing you're probably thinking I've watched a few YouTube videos now. All the experts say I don't need to target. Yes, 100%, you don't need to target inside the platform. The algorithm will do it for you, but you still have to call out your audience within the ad, right? Or otherwise it's not going to capture the attention of the right audience. And then the algorithm's not going to know who to send it out to, or it's going to send it out to everyone, and your cost per lead is going to go through the roof. So you still need to target, whether you're targeting through your creative, your copy, or through your offer, you still need some form of targeting. And then your acceleration is your optimization, right? So pretty simple. Your fuel is your budget, your spark is your creative, your copy, and your offer. The direction is the targeting, so how you're calling them out, and your acceleration is your optimization. Great, now let's move this over here so it's a little bit further out of the way. We can work on the next section. The next step is what the actual campaigns are. So don't create one campaign, you actually need 3 campaigns. So what we're going to do here is I'll make it a different color so it's nice and easy. My drawing skills are out of this world, by the way. You've got 3 pillars, like I said, 3 different campaigns. So the first campaign is your awareness campaign, right? And I'll break it up. So we'll go from bottom, middle to top. Second is your conversion campaign. And third is your retargeting campaign. So you might be thinking, great, what's all this mean? So awareness is basically anyone who has interacted with your ads, right? So this can be just your general content. It can be a how-to guide. It can be a video like this where I'm showing you how to break down your ads. It could be a review that you've featured on a post. It can be a video. It can be anything, right? Static post, whatever it is. And now what happens is someone will watch it. They might look at it. They might click on it. They might not necessarily comment, like, or follow your channel, but it's still considered an engagement if it stopped them and made them do some form of action on the platform, right? So basically, Meta will recognize this and consider it as awareness. So some awareness post ideas can be how to, could be a guide, could be a review, could be a static post, or it could be a video, like an entertaining video, an educational video, something that they can engage with, right? And now you can do this organically and you can do it paid. Generally, what I like to say, if your budget's only $150 a day, you can basically do this organically, and then you can run your conversion campaigns as your first campaign, and then your retargeting as your second. However, if you're not getting the results that you want from your conversion campaign, it's probably because you don't have that awareness campaign. You haven't got enough people following and interacting with you, which means you're not going to get the results that you want, right? The algorithm's going to take forever to find your ideal buyer. And this is typically what we see with small businesses when they first do advertising. Let's say they got 200, 300, 400 followers, right? And they start their ads, and basically what happens is they get leads. At the start, they might go a day with no leads, and then it gets this really big uptick, and then it comes back down, and then it plateaus out. And basically what they look at is, at this period here, it was making good money. It was a profitable ad, but then down here, they may be breaking even or even losing money, right? And I see this a lot. And basically what it is it's people that have followed, interacted with you, they've engaged with your social media in some way, and you've hit them, and you probably haven't asked them to do something in the past, whether it, leave a lead or actually get in contact with you. And so you've done that, and now they've reached out to you, and then Meta's, used up all that resource, and then it's dropped back down, right? And then you're getting what the true results of your actual ad efforts are. And this is why it's really important that you actually have a social media strategy, and that you're actually uploading content and building out a following. And now your conversion is where you actually ask for the sale, right? This is your call to action, which I like to refer to as a CTA. So this is where you're actually asking for either the sale, or you're asking them to reach out. So you might do like lead magnets. So a lead magnet could be like a PDF guide, and in return to get the PDF guide, they have to leave their details, whether that's their name, email, phone number, or one or the other, right? Could be a webinar or a workshop where they actually have to jump on, leave their details, or register or apply. Or it could be something as simple as a consultation or request a quote. Request an on-site quote, get a consultation, get expert advice, something like that, right? And that's where you're actually creating a conversion moment. So generally what's going to happen here is this is where you're going to get all of your leads, right? And then obviously you need to follow them up, put them into your sales process and things like that. Now there will be a certain amount of people that click on your conversion ads but don't actually leave their details, right? They don't actually provide you with a lead, they don't register, whatever it may be. And the way we want to recapture these people is through our retargeting efforts here. So it's really, really important that we do retargeting, because what retargeting is going to do is it's going to lower your cost per lead. So for example, your cost per lead in this section might be $35. And out of those leads, you should be tracking how many of them actually convert. So let's say out of those, you get a conversion rate of 10%, right? Which means it costs you $350 to acquire a customer, right? And then your retargeting is going to be things like call out ads. So call out ads are where you actually literally call them out and say, hey, I saw you were checking out my book, or hey, I saw you were checking out, our website, whatever it be. You're actually calling them out, and you're getting back in their face again, right? So you're getting top of mind for them. They obviously clicked on your conversion ad for a reason. They are actually interested in what you had to offer, but at the time they were just too cold, or there was something holding them back from pulling the trigger and getting in contact. So the whole idea of the retargeting is to get back in touch with those people, because they're going to be our warmest pool to dip from. And then we want to bring them back into either a separate landing page or the same landing page, or whatever it may be, the same form. And we want to try and capture them again. Another example of retargeting is review ads. So this can be a video review, it can be a screenshot of a Google review that you've done, something to show them, build trust with them, build a little bit more rapport with them, or maybe even make a special offer, right? Hey, 10% off, right? I'm sure you've gone on a website before that sells a product, you've added the product to the cart, you put your email in, you are so ready to go ahead, and then you show the shipping cost, shipping cost was more than the product, or whatever it may be, the shipping cost turned you off from actually going ahead and buying it. And then like 24 hours or 12 hours later, you got an email basically saying, hey, you know, we're going to give you a discount, 10% off, or we're going to give you free shipping, whatever it may be. That is a form of retargeting, right? But specifically here, we're talking about meta retargeting, but you would layer on the email retargeting as well if you do happen to capture their email. And generally what we see from the retargeting is we will see a cost per lead that is almost always at least half or a third of what the main conversion lead costs. So in this example, if it's a third, that means that these leads cost us $11.60 per lead. Now, typically we don't see more conversion rate out of these leads because they were still cold leads. We just captured them on the second time. They haven't actually been in contact with us yet. Because we're talking about retargeting them through Meta, this isn't, you know, follow-up calls or anything like that. So typically we'll still see a 10% conversion rate. But what that means is that this pool of customers only cost us roughly $116 to acquire them, right? But you can't get this customer without doing your conversions first, right? Now, let's say we don't do the retargeting ad, right? We only do the conversion ads. What that means is that we're always going to pay $350 per customer acquired, right? And you might be okay with that. But if you could literally spend just a touch more of your budget and do the retargeting ads, and you could acquire those extra customers at only $116, why wouldn't you do it? And what I see time and time again when people do meta ads is they will do the conversion funnel, right? They will do the awareness and they'll do the conversion, and then they'll start getting their customers in at this $350 price point, right? And then what they do, or they just increase the ad budget for the conversion funnel, but they haven't actually created any more awareness. And then what happens is this $350 here all of a sudden starts to rise, $380, and then the month after it's $400, and then it keeps going up and up and up. And then eventually they're not making any money out of this, right? So what do? They scrap all of this and they start again from basically the start again. Well, the better way to do this is obviously to put money in or create a retargeting campaign right here. And then out of that retargeting campaign, we're going to try and achieve a much lower cost per lead because we're going into a pool of warm leads, or let's say, you know, not hot, but warm leads. They're not cold like these ones down here at the conversion or the awareness one. And then when we get our cheaper cost to acquire the customer, it then brings our average down to $233 per customer acquired. Because all you're doing is you're getting one customer here at $350, you're getting another customer here at $160, which brings your average cost to acquire that customer to $233. Now you might be thinking all of this is great, right? But how do you know you're actually on track to create successful campaigns? You don't just create them through trial and error and then just hopefully one sticks and one doesn't, right? No, we want to actually build step by step and create those killer ads that get us in the results that we deserve, right? And this is what I like to refer to as the scaling staircase. In the scaling staircase, basically all we're trying to do is we're basically trying to go step by step and improve our ads. So ideally, at the first stage, we want to achieve break even, right? So during this period, I'm probably only going to run my ads at a budget of $150. Now, the reason why I say 150 is because I don't recommend that you just do one ad. I recommend that you do 2 or 3 ads at a time in one ad set. So your ad set budget is $150, and then you have 3 ads inside there. And then what's going to happen is Meta is going to figure out which one of your 3 ads is the best performing, and you're always pulling one ad out and putting one ad in. And then eventually what will happen is you will achieve a break even, right? So you'll run the ad for, let's say, a period of 5 to 7 days, and you will achieve a break even. So it's really important that you're tracking all of your leads, all your metrics, so you can see when you get that break even point. And then the next step, which is really the goal, is to create consistent profits. Like I said, amazing handwriting. And this period here, the consistent profits section, is really where you're mastering your sales process, right? You're mastering the call cycles, you're mastering, all the offline events to make sure that you go from break even to consistent profits. That might be adjusting the landing page so that you get a higher click-through rate or a lower cost per click, right? Or you might be adding some more questions on your lead form so that you get slightly more qualified leads, so you're wasting less time on the phone, right? And that's where you start to achieve your consistent profits. You might do price adjustment, whatever it may be. And then from there, on the third step, you're going to scale, but not just scale, you're going to scale aggressively. So like I said earlier, typically I see people just expect that they're going to start ads. They chuck up an ad budget up, they chuck a heap of money up. They've only done one ad, one ad set, one campaign, and they expect to go from here to here overnight. But the reality is every single one of these steps can take up to 30 days, right? And the reason why it takes 30 days is because to get to this break-even point, you need to test lots of ads, right? You need to test your creative, you need to test your copy, and you need to test your offer, right? You're basically going out there to see, okay, is this ad campaign even possible to break even on, right? And then you're just consistently iterating over the period of 30 days. But you're leaving it for 2 to 3 days, coming back, checking, looking at the metrics, what needs to change based on the metrics. Are you getting a great click-through rate and a low cost per click, but not actually getting the leads you want? Then have a look at your landing page. Or if you're using a meta ads form, make sure you haven't got too many questions on the form and you're just filtering out absolutely everyone. And then in this section, you're testing your pricing, your sales process, and you're getting more qualifying metrics. And then this section here, this scale aggressively section, still takes time, right? This can take up to 90 days. And the reason being is because you can only increase your budget by 20 to 30% at a time. If you go more than this, you will see a considerable drop, right? You won't reset the algorithm completely unless you go really, really high, like I'm talking 200-300%. But basically any percent that you go above 30%, typically in my experience, you'll see up to a 20% drop in results temporarily while the algorithm tries to keep up. And if you're constantly increasing and then increasing again and then increasing again, what happens is you are constantly staying at a below 20% of what your actual potential could be. So simply stick with the 20 to 30% rule, little bit by little bit, and eventually you'll spend a considerable amount on ads. They will scale for you and you will get customers at the price that you want. And then you'll be able to create other ad campaigns to sell to other audiences or different services that you offer. Just to finalize, just so it all makes sense, like I said earlier, you've got 4 steps. You've got to add the fuel, which is your budget, right? You need some form of budget. You can't do $0 ads, right? You need to be able to create the spark within the engine. This is your creative, this is your copy, this is your offer. You need to give it a direction so that it actually goes somewhere, right? The engine's no good if it's not utilized, right? So do some form of targeting and then create that acceleration with your optimizations. So like I said, in this step-by-step section, you want to achieve break even, and then from there you want to go to consistent profits. And the only way to do that is to look at your metrics and make slight adjustments here and there. And then, like I said earlier, in this section, make sure that you are doing your awareness campaigns. Like I said, if you're only got a small budget, you might be able to get away with doing organic awareness campaigns and not actually spending money on those. But typically, especially if you're a small business, you don't have a massive following, you're not doing videos, that get, thousands and thousands of views as soon as they get uploaded, then chances are you need to do some sort of awareness campaign. Add a small budget to this. It doesn't have to be massive. Just needs to create some form of traffic and engagement so that Meta has something to target towards when it goes to do your conversion campaigns. And then from the conversion campaigns, once you've got them to a break-even point, do that retargeting so that you can get your cost per customer acquired averaged down. So I just want to say a massive thank you for watching this video. I hope it helped you. I hope you got past my terrible handwriting right, and I hope it helps you scale your ads to the next level. If you are interested in joining our program or learning more about what we do, just click the link below and head to our website.